Hello, welcome to our Introduction to Computer Science class. This lecture will give you an overview for week 1. We'll start with a review of our syllabus, look at how to install the Java software you need to write your Java programs, define terms, and we'll learn how to compile and run a Java program, and finally, some of the things you need to know to write your first program. Here is the modules page for our course. I've set up a module 0, which you must complete by August 30th to remain in class. Under module 0, just review the syllabus and post to this discussion 1 about me. I have a few prompting questions that you just need to reply to. If you do so, you will remain on the class roster. And then we have our week 1 module in which we will introduce you to basic concepts to write a Hello World program in Java. Here's our course homepage. You'll see multiple links to the syllabus. So there's a link here as well as on the modules page. Every week you'll see an introduction to the concepts over that week, but you should head over to the modules link to step through the content for that week. At the bottom of the course homepage, I have a tentative schedule. As I update it, I will update it here. So you do need to install Java, and I have this installation instructions here. I also have a video for you to step through so you can follow the installation instructions. It's pretty straightforward, except you will have to modify some settings. So step through it. You should be okay with installing the software. The textbook for this class is Building Java Programs, a Back to Basics approach. It is a required textbook. For this week, I would like you to read section 1.1 through 1.3. There are many definitions in the text, so be aware of all of these definitions. Just out of the sections 1 through 1.3 of the text, I wrote down all the definitions. So get a good idea what each of these terms mean. From the textbook, we define a program as a set of instructions that is carried out by the computer, and program execution is the act of carrying out, the computer's carrying out the instructions in the program. However, when the program is executing in the machine, it has to be in binary. It has to be digital in zeros and ones. When I write a program, I don't write it in zeros and ones. I write it in a high-level programming language such as Java. The text has a section called Why Java. There are many other programming languages, and I just took a look at what are the most popular programming languages. I've been doing that for years, and it seems to change from year to year. But languages that you select may depend on what you want to do. Are you developing for the web? Are you developing for science or for business? The language you choose depends on that. Java is simple to learn. Hopefully you feel that way by the end of the semester. It has a bunch of libraries. You're going to do a discussion based on those libraries this week. They are a great tool for us to start writing complex programs without thinking as much about the detail. You may not feel like that as a beginner, but they are a great tool. Another thing that's good about Java is the Java virtual machine, that I can write the code once and I don't have to think, oh, am I writing for Windows? Am I writing for Linux? Because it's compiled not to a specific machine, but to bytecode. So you will be having a discussion in a few weeks on the process of going from Java source code to the executable program. Here is that process. I write source code. This week you're going to use a text editor like Notepad++. One rule with Java that I hope you don't trip up over is that Java has a class name. And the file name that you save the file and the class name have to be identical, including where you capitalize and where you do lowercase. Then you save with a .java file extension. Next, you will learn the command to compile the code that's going to get this into this bytecode that can be used by any machine. If you're successful, you have the source that can be ported to multiple devices. Then that individual device has to have the Java virtual machine installed. And it will load the class into memory, verify the bytecode, and do another compilation to finally the machine language. Once it's in that machine language, the program can execute. Let's review this flowchart of that process. Step 1, that's you. You're creating the source code. You save that source code as a file. It's just a text file, hello.java, for example. Then, well, let's see if I can compile that. So we have a compiler installed. That's what you're installing this week. And if there's any errors in that source code, it will not compile. That's the failure. And I'll give you some ideas of the types of errors you might come across this week when you're trying to work on your first program. If it doesn't work, guess what? You have to return back to the source code, try to figure out where that error is and fix it. And this is a loop. It might not happen for an hour of you trying. Maybe it'll happen right away. No failure the first time. Good for you, because that rarely happens. But find that error, compile, and finally, when it's successful, then you have another file, and this is your bytecode file. Notice the file names are the same, but this will have the .class extension, and you will be able to execute that program and run your program. Here's a few hints if it won't compile. See, Java, any programming language, has a syntax, and that is the structure of the language. For example, every basic Java program ends with semicolon, and the contents of your classes and methods have to be between a matching pair of curly braces. So if you forget one of those curly braces, then it won't compile. Some of the things I want you to look for if it doesn't compile, that missing semicolon, make sure those braces are there correctly. It's possible for you to have an illegal identifier. This is a name you make up, but it doesn't follow the rules. And if the class name and the file names don't match, that is a big one when you're beginning. Make sure they match. So here is the source code for a program called Hello. Notice we have public class Hello. We have the matching curly braces, and within that, another set of matching curly braces. We have public static void main string args. Boy, that's confusing, so I'm going to ask you to just type it out. And then we have a series of statements. These are println statements. I always call them print line because it's printing and going to the next line. So notice it's telling it to print out this string literal hello world. When you compile and output it, it prints hello world and it comes to the next line. Then we have another, there's nothing in this pair of parentheses. So it goes just a blank line. That's going to print a blank line. Then it prints this value and then it prints this value. So a Java program has to have a name. It's going to always have public and class. You get to make this up, whatever you want to call it, but it's got to follow the rules. Then it's always going to have a main method. What is a main method? It's a named group of statements. So the main method in a class or in a Java program is where the program starts. It's going to be looking for that. If you're missing the main, it doesn't know where to start. Then we're going to have a series of statements. You decide what the statement will be. So every executable Java program has at least one class. By the end of the semester, you may have several classes, and actually within a few weeks, you're going to have several methods besides main. And within each method are statements. So it's kind of a hierarchy. Class, within classes are methods, within methods are statements. Let's talk about that system.out.println, but you're going to hear me many times say print line, and it will just print out a string. A string is just alphabetical characters. And if that string, for now, we don't know what a variable is. I haven't defined it yet. So for now, your string is going to go in a pair of quotes. And what you put inside that pair of quotes will be output. If it says println again, it'll go to the next line after it prints text down. If you leave that blank, it prints a blank line. You get to make up the name of your classes, variables, methods. For now, you're going to make up the name of your class. And here is an example, blue heron. The naming convention that we use in Java for a class is you're going to capitalize each word. Notice no spaces are allowed. So the name you give it is called the identifiers. So no spaces are allowed, but we begin with a capital B for blue and we begin with a capital H for heron. Then your Java program has to exactly match that. Blueheron.java. That's how I'm going to save the file name. Generally, identifiers are names that you get to make up to identify parts of your program, and they must start with a letter or an underscore or a dollar sign. Subsequent characters can be any of these, a letter or an underscore, a dollar sign, or a number. So these values are legal. Underscore my name. Notice that space is not one of them. You cannot have a space in an identifier. The cure. Answer underscore is underscore 42. Dollar sign, bling, dollar sign. Illegal. This one has a plus sign in it. Gotta start with a letter or an underscore or a dollar sign, but that starts with a digit. This has a dash. You can't have a dash in the middle of it. This has periods and a single quote. You can't have that in the middle of it. So just simple rules. Make sure that you follow those when you create your identifiers. Well, one other thing that you cannot do is there's a set of words, look, it's not that many, that we call keywords. So these keywords are part of those commands that you're going to learn. Now, you've already seen public, because public class. So you can't use public as a keyword. We'll be reviewing most of these throughout the semester on what they do. Here is an example of a hello program that has syntax error. So this will not compile. It should be public, and it's got two O's instead of a U. It's error here. Here's another error, no semicolon. So as you try to compile it, the compiler is going to let you know, hey, there's an error here, and it'll point close to it. You have to look hard enough to determine what it is. This one, it actually is telling me, semicolons missing. So those are the basics to get your program started, and I'll have more detail when you get to your assignment.